Hello, friends. Thank you for listening and coming in for my incoming address for my future doctoral program here at Charles Darwin University. I want to acknowledge the Larrakia people and their lands on which I give this address. The significance of this occasion is a tremendous one to me personally, and I have nothing but gratitude for everyone who has made this moment possible. As you can see, I'm about to enter my Doctor of Philosophy degree program here with CDU. It is only possible thanks to the people of our great nation. We are truly a lucky country, and its people are ever so generous. I can continue my journey to change the world and this country, to make it a better place for all of us. Now, through the power of gaming, thanks to the Australian government's research training program and the powers of this young and evolving university, Charles Darwin. In particular, many people have helped me to get here. Let me name only a few, for I have links across our great Commonwealth, from the halls of power in Canberra to the tiniest outback towns such as Berrigan, the birthplace of our Federation. In particular, Professor Tara Brabazon, regaled by our Order of Australia. You, ma'am, are sincerely a visionary, a scholar, and a leader. Your foresight to support me in my research and to help me with my interests to change my stripes will always be held dear to me. Without you, I do not think I would have perhaps ever gained entrance to a program. You are also one of the coolest people I have ever met. And how could I speak of struggle at a moment like this? How is it that a person with the will, determination, and the talent could be turned away so many times? I have in fact tried for many years to gain entrance to a program, without success. I believe it's because I am unconventional. I am not your standard affair. I'm not a person for which resources are made available to me like to many families of the to-do. I am a person by which no special measure has been applied, no exception granted. Only the chance to approach the door. In fact, I've failed more times than I can count, like many others before me who have risen to the occasion. But I am ambitious, steeled by adversity, and with an open heart and mind to continue to try against the odds, and so should you. So my story is basically a rags to riches one. It is a story of a come-up, of progress. My adversity and challenges are not the most. There are others out there who have had it far worse and more difficult and more trying than I have. I acknowledge this. But it's still a story that I feel I should tell. Maybe it will inspire you. So, for example, I never finished high school. My parents never finished primary school. My mother has village roots in a land far away, and my father has true blue colours and is a working class man. My family has committed their lives to the frontier of our country, and to Australia's best-kept secret, the top end, and Darwin in particular. So I'm a local boy, I'm a classic run amok. In primary school, I was never privileged to join the gifted and talented, whereby you're earmarked for success the day you can babble. I did have a computer though, and that is really thanks to my father, who spent all his money at the time, the start of my success. With the power of the internet back then, the world was at my fingertips. And unlike today, you can't just let kids run wild on the internet. So things were very different back then. Anyway, here comes high school, and I dropped out. I never finished. That was Darwin for you. Even though I joined the Lighthouse School, which was a special high school at Nightcliff, for people who were quite good with computers, it wasn't enough of a head start to finish. So, you know, if you're local here, then you know that Darwin's the kind of place where you'll just never change. But knowing this, I joined the army because I wanted to change. And I do remember being laughed out the door the first time I went there to recruiting because I expressed interest in attending the Defence Force Academy to become an officer. So what did I do? I did Charles Darwin University's Tertiary Enabling Program, or TEP. Back then, it was shame job to do. No single childhood friend of mine who dropped out of high school with me has ever completed that program despite trying. So I'm proud that I did try, because it gave me the confidence to come up with a solution to achieve my dreams. I actually joined Norforce, a patrolman, is what I became. I learned a lot in terms of being a professional soldier in the profession of arms, and I became a greenskin, a warrior. I became a defender of these lands until I closed my eyes for a final time, only to open them again in its defense shall the land call for me. I also entered Murdoch University's Security, Terrorism and Counterterrorism program. I got to study remotely while I was working on the farm, being a reservist still, on the New South Wales and Victorian border. On Yorta Yorta lands, not far from Boat Rock. That is a place where the first people used a rock in a special formation as a reservoir for water during drought and harsh summers. There is not quite a place like it on Earth. As such, I was exposed to an old-time Australian way of life, one of prosperity, serenity, and strength, but also hardship with a past of its own. So back then, they would post my readings to me, that's the university. I had a CD of lectures also, and a few megabytes of internet on a clear sky day. I did not study with Charles Darwin back then, because, well, I didn't actually know how to. And they didn't do any saving of the world classes, not until I got back here, that is. But as is the case of someone like me, I didn't finish that program either. It wasn't until many years in the future that I was able to come back and complete. What I did instead was I went all in. I cashed out and I took my credits to try to join Australian National University and its premier degree in security studies at the Strategic and Defence Studies Centre. I waited for months to find out if I got into the National University because it was the very best university this nation had to offer. And when it said on the radio that the results were available in the Australian newspaper, I drove a country mile to the closest newsagent. My name was not in the paper. I was defeated. But not long after, I actually got an email saying that I was welcome to the program. It's just funny how times change and how things work. So you have this guy like me in a university, whereas it was most recently reported, less than 5% of people there have lived below the poverty line or are doing it tough. Once I got in though, I excelled. All I had to do was spread my wings, and the wind of change would do the rest for me. I managed to complete the trifecta, so that's the Strategic and Defence Studies Centre, the Asia Pacific College of Diplomacy for Diplomatic Training, and the National Security College. Of course, this was all at my own expense. Most importantly, though, at the university, was that I met the love of my life. She is the most important thing in my life, and in fact, if she had not chosen to do her PhD at Charles Darwin University, then, because of the way the funding works, there wouldn't be any more future money allocated to the bucket to allow for another student to come through. So she changed my life and made it possible for me to even try to do a PhD in more ways than one by joining this university. And it's in this sense that I feel that great people and people who are capable of greatness, unless they join us here, it will not be possible to continue to grow this place. And that is why I am here, because I believe in this university's future, and in Darwin's future, and in the Northern Territory's future, and Australia's. So I'm not going to talk about my full ride offer to Tokyo, which I turned down to attend Ormond College and the University of Melbourne, because all of this is, well, it's from a class I feel like I don't really fit in well with. I probably never will. But I do know that I am one of the greats and that I am welcome, that I have earned a place, and that perhaps in time I will grow into it. So in effect, you have this sentinel, a man who's trained to stay behind in the event of the unspeakable, who can find you wherever you hide, a nemesis, a person trained by the most superior people this nation can muster in its defense and national security. They are the people who go bump in the night. They'll clean your clock and you won't even know it. And matter-of-factly speaking, so can I. However, I can say, though, that I wasn't really much of a fit for that life either. And I was also not the best soldier, returning back to that. Some people just have a naturalism for government. Some people just have a naturalism for war fighting. For me, despite my mean streak, I am a digital native. So where I struggled to carry 45 kilos through the harsh bush and scorching sun, I excelled when it came to attaining information, shall we put it, and using technology for good. I became a cybersecurity expert, but I cannot talk about this at any length, obviously. Well then, you may ask, what am I to do with my PhD here then? I have proposed to do something that is completely unrelated to what I have dedicated my life to thus far, to completely reinvent myself, to try to live and make a life how I want to. So something that is the outcome of our national security and prosperity. I'm still committed to our national security and prosperity. I'm doing it in my own way though. It's a way that might not make sense, but believe me, all the dots do connect. And let this be a lesson then. You can make the life you want for yourself here in this country and at this university. It is possible. So then my PhD is on a topic that's been a part of me since I could barely combobulate, and that is on gaming, play, video games, cool things, popular culture. And in particular, as you may have noticed with how ambitious I am, my project is on elite performance. What it means to be the best, how do you become the best, what does success look like in video gaming? Do you know today, for example, that video games are big, like really big, like bigger than Hollywood big? That video games are in the Olympics? Did you also know, though, that on a darker side, the same ways which we play and interface with technology is being used to create the horrors of war? And that sadly, as technology advances, we as human beings, and in the future, with digital constructs like artificial intelligence, we'll be needing to interface with technology to change the world, and not to create horrors. I hope that we can use technology to avoid war, to preserve humanity's great progress, so we can be among the stars. It is all a part of our evolution as a people, as a planet, both in spirit and in science. So then let me just leave with you some thoughts for the journey ahead and the importance of a doctoral program and what you can do with it. And let me hopefully inspire you and motivate you to achieve your dreams, no matter what it is that's in front of you. You should notice that there's basically only 3 parts to my talk so far. One is that I overcame the odds, so whatever your odds are, know that you still have a chance and that it can be done. A second thing is that times are changing. Education and knowledge is the great equalizer together with technology. That doesn't mean that I'm a technological determinist in full. It just means that we have to embrace the change, and that future as it comes will mean new possibilities and new ways of doing things. And you have to see those chances and take them. Nothing is as it was, and it is up to us to influence the future. So the change is very real. It is possible to change for the better, and you are the change. And we can do this here at this university. The third and final thing then is basically the future, and what kind of future it will be. For me, I'd like to see more local people doing influential things in our community rather than being siphoned off interstate or overseas. It would be cool to see more local leaders in this university. It would also be incredible to know that everybody at this university knows that they can achieve, and that if they've failed in the past, that they can return and try again, just as I have. In the future, I want to know that the Northern Territory and its people are equals in this Commonwealth. But what about gaming and all my research there? Well, at the heart of it, I want to win, of course, but I want to have fun while I'm at it, and I want to use technology for good, and I want to enjoy my work and what it is that I do, because my life is no longer one, and was perhaps never meant to be one, that was lived in the shadows, but it is to be one that is to be led in the light. So if you see me, know that I am your friend, and that together we are the future of this university. Thank you very much for today.